Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. We have a special guest tonight. We have Adam Free from Adam Stargazing Astrology. Welcome, Adam.
Hi, thanks for having me on, Diane. This is great.
Oh, you are so welcome. It's always a pleasure to have you. My viewers really enjoy your readings and enjoy our collaborations. So I'm glad you came back.
Great. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And let's say hi to a few people. Hi, Renee. Hi, Mark. Candy, fine in Phoenix, Narajana, Adriana, Janice, Renee. Oh my goodness, there's so many people here. Okay. So welcome everybody. I know it's a Saturday night, so it's like a lot to ask people to come join you on a Saturday night, but thank you for coming. So as always, life is never dull. Current events and politics is never dull, and astrology is never dull. And I didn't realize all the coincidences, I'll put in, quotes, around the election on Tuesday with astrology. So I'm going to turn it over to you and, talk a bit about that.
All right. So first off, to everyone out there, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page already, it's Adam Stargazing Astrology. I'm currently offering discounted astrological readings, natal chart readings, transit chart readings for you or someone else, or composite chart readings if you're in a relationship and you want to know more about that person and how you stand with them. Again, I'm offering excellent discounts at this time. And awesome. the information will be in the description box in the video as well. So please check that out. And then you can also find my email, which is adamastro777@gmail.com. You can send me an email too if you're interested in a reading. Thanks so much. Okay, so the full moon is going to be happening November 8th, which is coming up very soon. So
right.
Next Tuesday, right around the corner. So this full moon is characterized by the sun in Scorpio and the moon in Taurus. So this is an earth-water combination, and earth-water is of the yin energy. So yin is more about introversion. It's more about looking inwards. It's more about self-reflection, and it's much more about security. So the energies of Taurus are all about stewardship, finances, land, property, real estate, and the energies around Scorpio are much more intense: sexuality, death, power. So what we're going to see here is just a very interesting parallel as far as a full moon in Scorpio. The moon is that which sets the emotional undercurrent and the emotional tone for the day. So November 8th is going to be an emotionally deep day, an emotionally intense day as well.
Yeah.
We are really going to have to be aware of power plays and manipulation going on, because that can be one of the hallmark energies of that full moon in Scorpio.
That's what my cards keep coming up with. That's what I keep getting intuitively, that we may not even know what the results are on Tuesday night, because I almost feel like maybe not all the Republicans, but a lot of them are going to dispute the outcomes. There's going to be a lot of fighting and power battles and anger. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, a lot of what we would call power tripping, because again, that moon is that which sets the emotional undercurrent. Now, what is very interesting about this full moon is that it's also characterized by a full lunar eclipse. So the big question is, what does a lunar eclipse mean? So eclipses, solar and lunar eclipses, are time for big energetic shifts. So a lot happens in a really small amount of time. This is all about revisiting old situations. It's all about closure, completion, and integration with this. So it's really when we think of an aspect of the lunar aspect, when we think of moon aspects, we think of emotions, we think of turning inward. So this is gonna, this full moon is really gonna affect people's emotional state on a really deep basis. There's gonna be a lot of feelings around completion, a lot of feelings around self-integration, a lot of feelings around closure. So we'll just see how that plays
completion
out.
And closure. I'm sorry to interrupt, but completion and closure
Yeah.
around that same time as the election. Okay, that makes sense.
So the Scorpio energies, they're heavy and they're intense. So there's a lot of issues also around survival. Scorpio has a lot to do with survival instincts. So how the survival instinct is tied in with the idea of power and power plays as far as grabbing for that position, grabbing for that seat, out of the sense of like that primal survival. Scorpio also, it's ruled by the planets Pluto and Mars. Pluto represents regeneration, power, the occult, and Mars represents our masculine warrior energy. So when you get those two put together in a water sign, it's very intense.
Right. So an intense day all around. And honestly, I think it's intense for both sides. They did a poll just to the general public in the US asking like about their feelings about this election. And they all kind of came up with, it's almost like a life and death for both sides. Like our fate is going to be determined by this. Both sides are having the same conclusions. And so no matter which side wins at this point, you're going to have like half the country miserable. It's like it's a no-win situation. We're so divided at this point that the emotions are going to be high. And I think where 45 set that dangerous precedent that you can dispute outcomes, that's going to be a problem. I really feel like it's going to be an issue. Would that make sense with what you're seeing astrologically?
It does make sense. However, there's one of the last aspects I want to talk about with this is an aspect tied into the planet Saturn. Saturn represents the lord of karma. You can't really escape karmic repercussions. No. So what's happening here, the planet Saturn is in what's called a T-square to the sun and the moon and a couple of other prominent planets. A T-square is called an efficiency square. So a lot of energy gets riled up during a time of T-square, but because the focal point is Saturn, there's going to be some karma at hand that has the upper hand here.
Okay.
Karmic repercussions of what has been set in the motion in the past are going to be more apparent. People are going to butt their heads against a wall because of karmic repercussions.
That makes sense with what I'm getting, because here's the thing. I mean, obviously some Republicans are going to win, right? I mean, it'd be impossible for some not to. But I'm also getting that some of them may not be keeping these seats because of what they've done in the past. Like they're going to have these huge legal battles. And so you're talking about karma. So things that like they have done in the past, like, okay, so they might get elected, but it may not actually matter when everything is said and done.
Yeah.
They may not be able to serve.
Yeah. That, what I'm feeling with this is that each individual, right, has their own unique set of karma based upon their past actions. So it's really going to be playing out like differently for each person. Like overall in the political spectrum, there's that overall arching picture of sowing and reaping. But for each individual candidate, it's going to be playing out in its own unique way.
Right. It's going to be, I think, very interesting come election night. I think it's going to be a bit different than how it was in the past, mainly because 45 set this into motion, and I think going to be dealing with that repercussion. And some of my Scorpion viewers are saying they've been feeling a bit unsettled and anxious. Would that make sense? If you're a Scorpion, you're feeling all kinds of stuff now?
Yeah, that could be that could definitely be one of those things. I would say it may be linked maybe towards the T-square. The T-square is highly charged with a lot of intense energy. And Saturn is so weighty, right? So this T-square, it's really weighty. It's almost like if you want to go run free and do something and go play, there's this kind of weight. Like, no, you have to like tend to your duties, tend to your past actions. Saturn also too. Saturn makes us be grounded in the material world. It offers a tool for growth as far as learning from our mistakes. can truly learn from them. So Saturn is the taskmaster, right? It just depends on if we're going to learn from those mistakes or if we're going to keep butting our heads and diving ourselves in a deeper ditch.
So, yes, all the Scorpions are going through all that right now.
Intense.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
Well, I mean, not only Scorpions, kind of all of us, right? Because this is really the collective forecast. So we're really all feeling these energies, regardless.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are saying they feel nervous, they feel anxious, even on both sides. I mean, because both sides at this point, they're so passionate, they're so committed. And it's just so sad that we've gotten to the point as a country where we're just so divided that it's like half of the country is always miserable, it seems nowadays. People aren't winning by these huge landslides like they used to. We're pulling away from that sort of mentality to being so right and left, and that's it. And
the thing we have, the thing we can actually look forward to as far as the positive side for us is that when this whole abortion thing, right? It's putting out that negative energy, right? Negative energy in the form of not good karma, right? When you're working against, when humanity is working against things like idealism and love and beauty and representations of what God is, right? Which is harmony. When we're working against that, we're creating negative karma. So the Republicans are going to see a lot of the effects of the negative karma in relation to the abortion thing. I can tell everyone that for sure, 100% without it.
I agree with that. That's what I've gotten too, is it's going to drive people out to vote. And maybe people that were Republicans, particularly women, they're going to vote differently now.
It's working. Yep. This has been set. It's working against the divine law of peace, love, and harmony, and it's creating negative karma.
Absolutely. So I pulled a few cards for Tuesday.
Yeah.
They're interesting. So this is something, here's a strength card. It's going to test our patience. It's going to call upon us to have inner strength and inner courage. So, I think it's a good day to ground yourself. I'm not going to sit there and watch the news all day. I'm going to live my life that day. Because by sitting there and staying, because I know some people stay up all night, and no, I'm actually going to meditate before bed like I always do. And I mean, because what can you do? I mean, you can sit there and watch it, but it's not going to change the outcome. You have to practice some self-care.
Self-care, yeah.
Don't get to this position where you're struggling.
Yeah. Also, another thing as well is we will know some outcomes, but there are going to be some outcomes we don't know. Well, we won't know for a while.
True.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And so we may as well rest into that, send out the good energy that we can, and then make peace with it, I believe.
Yeah.
The obstacle being government type issues. I think this is some of them, some of the Republicans really challenging things, taking things to court, wanting recounts and the whole 9 yards. And then, I got 2 outcome cards. Here we are trying to figure it all out the next day. 2 of, wands. Nothing is certain. This wand is not planted. And so things are still up in the air a bit, but then victors are declared.
Oh, I like that.
So it's like, there's this period of confusion, dismay, disillusionment. But then we do get decisive victories. And I still do feel quite positive for the Democrats. I think you're right. Republicans do have to deal with the karma that they created.
Yeah.
So I had asked you to look at John Fetterman, but you couldn't find anything, which is fine. So instead, we're going to look at Raphael Warnock. If you don't know, he is the Democrat running for Senate in Georgia. He's running against Herschel Walker, which, I've talked a lot about Herschel Walker. I don't think he's well. I think he's had too many traumatic brain injuries. As someone who specializes in dementia, he oftentimes does that word salad. Like some of those classic hallmarks. He doesn't even remember how long ago it was since he played football. He was off by decades. Those are kind of concerning. So what is Raphael's chart like?
Yeah, so Raphael, he has a chart that is actually very harmonious. And what he does, because he has what's called a grand trine in his astrological chart in fire.
Mm.
Fire's passion, it's enthusiasm, it's zest. A grand trine represents equilibrium, peace, harmony, fluidity.
Mm.
Those individuals with strong grand trines in their astrological chart are an expression of a harmonious nature. So that's the first thing I saw when I saw his chart,
Right.
which is wonderful.
Yes.
So he's a Leo. He has his sun sign in the 10th
Ah.
house. The 10th house is the public image
Ah.
and the vocation. To be honest, the majority of politicians that I see and do charts on have their sun sign in the 10th house, probably at least 9 out of 10 of them. So that's interesting. He's a Leo. So Leo's all about leadership,
right,
rulership, sun sign 10th house. Think along the lines of like Obama, right? I'm not sure if Obama had a sun sign in the 10th house, but Obama had a strong Leo position, sun sign in Leo.
Okay.
Yeah, the sun in Leo is its natural place. It really it shines that light of leadership. And his sun sign is sitting right next to the planet Mercury, which makes him a strong communicator. Which,
and I would say he is. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to him speak, he does seem like someone who's harmonious. He's good at communication. I think he's a strong candidate.
Strong candidate, yeah. His moon's in Scorpio, so this guy is familiar with passion, emotions, intensity, strong survival instincts. A Leo Sun Scorpio Moon combination. It's a strong combination as far as fighting, as far as getting yourself out there.
Right.
They're both of the fixed mode, and fixed is all about sustaining, right? So we know having your sun sign and your moon sign in fixed, the guy is very set on his ways. You know, can be very set, which is good. He's not easily swayed by fear and manipulation tactics. You know, he's not. He doesn't.
Right.
Really his Venus, which represents relationships, is in Gemini, which makes him another strong aspect of communication. Gemini is all about communication. Venus is relationships. It makes him very inquisitive too, and very social. Yeah. He has Venus. It's in a square aspect, which is a dynamic aspect to the planet Uranus, which is all about change, revolution, freedom, thinking outside the box. This gives him like one of those really rebellious fighting spirits. He's for the underdog.
Right. Yes.
You know, with this aspect, very much for the underdog. He has what's called a stellium, which is many planets sitting right next to each other in the 12th house. The 12th house is all about the collective unconscious and the collective mindset. So this guy automatically has this intuitive sense on almost like what to say, an intuitive sense on trends. He has Jupiter in that stellium. Jupiter represents our faith and our morals and our belief system. He has Jupiter sitting right next to Uranus. It blows up those Uranian energies. So it makes him strongly independent and strongly progressive. And this also gives him really intense views around thinking outside of the box, around breaking down those traditional old school structures, around bringing in the new Aquarian energy.
That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. So that's definitely a wonderful aspect. So his Cancer midheaven, the midheaven stands for the vocation. Cancer is all about family values. The United States, you know, being born July 4th, 1776, has sun sign in Cancer. So there's that strong alignment with family values, you know, and you know, taking care of the older ones, taking care of the younger ones.
Yeah, I would agree with him. Yep.
Yeah. So Mars in Sagittarius, a good sport. His North Node is in Pisces. The North Node stands for evolutionary direction. Pisces is about belief and faith and hope. And then his North Node's in the 6th house, which is really all about service. So what we see with this guy is that he really has great leadership qualities with that Leo energy. And that North Node in the 6th house, he's in that karmic direction of growing on the path of service.
I mean, it seems like he's dedicated his whole life to service. And I mean, he's literally in the church where Martin Luther King Jr. was the pastor, and, you know, continuing that work. And, you know, I think he's a wonderful, strong candidate.
Wonderful candidate.
I mean, I hate to say this, but what may have hurt him a little bit is that he was not willing to say anything negative about Herschel Walker, because he takes such a high road. He's like Michelle Obama, right? When they go low, we go high. And he is taking the high road, which I think people should, right? We should take the high road.
We should.
But then when you see someone like a Herschel Walker who has no boundaries, no scruples, you know, he was kind of getting beat up a little bit in the debate because he has such strong ethics. But hopefully, though, you know, I think people paid attention, and that's what we want. You know, we don't want the name calling and all that silliness, and, you know, something that, you know, once again, 45 made the norm. Here is somebody who's ethical and just and fair and actually cares. You know, he is a Christian, and he lives those kinds of Christian values for real. So I pulled a few cards for him. Things are a little bit still indecisive. I mean, it's a close race. How it's a close race, I have no idea, but it's a close race to some degree. And I've gotten this card for him before. He feels a little bit like his hands are tied, a bit like he's being made into a martyr. You know, things are not easy for him, but he gets the World card, starting a new phase of his life, one of abundance, fertility, those seeds that he's planted coming into fruition. So his cards are still strong and positive, but they are still showing the struggle. You know, it's not going to be easy for him, but I think he's going to be okay. You know, he is the stronger candidate for sure.
Wow, those are wonderful cards. Yeah. And you know, it's really interesting you picked the, you know, the Eight of Swords. Because from my understanding of that as well, it's almost like this kind of like psychological bind that you're putting yourself in. But
True.
Is it true though, kind of at any time you have the ability to be able to kind of unravel yourself?
Yes, because the bindings are loose on that character and can be taken off at any point. Okay. But I'm wondering if that's like his struggle with ethics.
Okay. And yeah, and another thing that I thought was really interesting too is that you know, that Piscean energy can be very selfless and very much about faith and strong intuition. But on the flip side, though, that Pisces energy can also fall sometimes into more like martyr energy. So can Virgo, and his nodes, which is his karmic direction, are running on the Virgo Pisces axis, which could sometimes fall into that, a little bit of that victim trap, victim martyr, a little bit.
Yeah, and that would make sense, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't feel that though. I don't feel like that's like the primary energy he's running though. I feel like when
no.
Yeah, I feel like that energy probably like runs through his head, you know,
yes.
and he has, you know, the knowledge to just kind of sit with it, but it could be like it's like a stumbling block kind of.
Right, because he has such good morals. I mean, he's actually what you would want in a politician.
I know.
I don't see how this is so close, but but it is. Well, because I think some people are just going to vote Republican no matter what. They don't care who the candidate is. It doesn't matter. They're just going to go straight down the ballot, regardless. You know, they're not looking at quality. It's just, this is my mindset, and that's but I still think, you know, Raphael is going to be okay when everything is said and done. You know, we'll see Tuesday. You know, Tuesday is going to be a bit of a tumultuous day, but we'll make it through it.
Yep.
So I thought we would end on a lighter note, and my viewers know I don't usually touch anything to do with pop culture, celebrities, but I do have like a lot of feminists that watch me. And I thought it would be a real mistake to not acknowledge Taylor Swift at this time. She is shattering records that nobody has even come close to. So you may know that she released an album, I believe it was last week, and she did something that no one has ever done. And she's taken all 10 of the top spots on the Billboard chart. She is breaking all records. And, you know, it's interesting because I look at her and yeah, she's talented. but is she necessarily more talented than anyone else? There has to be something else that I'm missing with her that is causing her to have this huge moment. And I mean, she also has shattered records, I know, in the past with selling out stadiums. She's had extremely successful tours, more so than most singers, especially at such a young age, even. You know, because she's been at this. I mean, she started young, and she's been at this young, you know, since she was young, and she actually started off in country. So anyone that likes country music, she actually started before she got into the pop. She was really doing the country stuff, and she sort of evolved. And so viewers, I asked Adam if he could just take a look at Taylor Swift and see what's going on with her, because I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. So Taylor Swift, the first thing I want to talk about is her North Node. The North Node stands for the evolutionary karmic direction. Opposite of that North Node is the South Node. The South Node stands for our comfort zone. So her North Node is in Aquarius. Aquarius is all about group. It's all about community. It's all about innovation. It's all about bringing in the unusual. Those Aquarian energies, they're really all about inclusion. So her evolutionary direction is really all about reaching out to every aspect of humanity with that North Node.
Interesting.
Opposite of that is her South Node, which is her foundation, which is in Leo. Leo is comfortable in center stage, right? So she's utilizing that South Node energy of being comfortable in center stage, right? To really you know, bring out those Aquarian ideals. So yeah, so I feel like she really she shows appeal to all sorts of people, the trans community, right? Anyone on that LGBT spectrum, you know. The kids nowadays, you know, a lot of these kids are extremely creative, right? And they want to be called, you know, specific things, and you know, there's this whole culture, and she really shows appeal to that culture, you know. Her sun sign is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, and having your sun sign here shows you have great vitality, shows you have great zest, optimism, positivity, right? She has this positive message. People are drawn towards that light. You know, and Sagittarius is a zest for life and traveling. You know, having your sun sign in Sagittarius is definitely, I would call, like a cosmic blessing. It's just it's a wonderful planet for faith and hope and optimism. And we know when we're running that optimistic energy, we're going to be stronger, we're going to be healthier, right? We're going to have just more going for us. So it's like she's on fire, you know, but you know, in a good way.
Right.
So her moon sign is in Cancer. It makes her perhaps intuitive, sensitive, she likes a home base here. She can be domestic and motherly. I remember I saw this one show with her where she had a bunch of people in the kitchen, and she had an apron on, and she was baking cookies for everybody.
So normal.
You know, that's very Cancer moon. So she also has this strong mother archetype. She has the planet Jupiter, which represents optimism and positivity. It's sitting right next to her moon sign. So the moon sign represents the emotional undertone. So the emotional undertone is expanse and it's positivity, right? It's Jupiter blows things. Jupiter's the abundance, where Saturn is the karma and the limitations. So she has this natural way of just touching things and expanding them with this aspect. Her moon is also in a harmonious aspect, which is called the trine aspect, to her midheaven, which represents her the midheaven represents our career, and it represents our has a lot to do with our life path. This makes her naturally optimistic, positive, cheerful, and really expansive, with strong faith and really good morals. You know, so she has that going for her. Her Pluto, which represents power, is in the 10th house. The 10th house represents the career and the vocation. So she has a lot of power. She holds a lot of power, and with that 10th house spot. She also isn't afraid of hard work. She has several
Right.
planes in Capricorn, which represents structure and duty and discipline. This makes her ambitious as well. You know, Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn, right? Saturn's the lord of karma. It's time. So she has this strong Saturn energy and this strong Jupiter energy, and she really has utilized it to her benefits. Her Venus is in Aquarius as well. Venus is relationships, very accepting, very altruistic. A Venus in Aquarius is like friends to everybody. Aquarius rules hopes, dreams, wishes, friends, groups. Venus is relationships. Yeah, a Venus in Aquarius is everyone's friend.
I love it.
It's humanity's friend, a Venus in Aquarius.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes her appealing.
So she has these mostly really expansive, very positive aspects. There's just a couple things. She has some oppositional aspects, which can create instability, a little bit of that flip-flop kind of teeter-totter nature. You know, with some stuff is maybe a little bit of overdoing things, a little bit of overestimation, maybe a little indecision, a little black and white with some things.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, so she definitely, like everyone else, you know, she definitely has her challenges, but
She's human.
yeah, she's human, but you know, she has that strong Sagittarius and Aquarius energy that really appeals to where humanity's at now as far as breaking through the gender barriers, you know, as far as breaking through things like racism, you know, as far as really, I would say really breaking down like the gender barriers.
Interesting. I mean, it's interesting because like, I mean, I didn't know much about her, but my brother will sit there and watch the country music channel. And she has so many videos on there. And so like somebody like my brother, who is not like into anything to do with pop music, will actually sit there and watch her. So it's like she's very appealing to a wide range of people. And honestly, I've never really heard anything bad about her. I've never seen any scandals or anything, but she certainly has a like the it factor. She works her magic, that's for sure.
She's got this kind of like very like wholesome, very pretty.
Yeah.
You know,
and she has cats.
Yeah, she's very appealing.
I did a few cards for her. I mean, her cards are ridiculous.
Okay.
Joy, celebration, having a good time with friends. Her obstacle, though, she may sometimes feel like she's fighting battles by herself. Like she maybe feels like she's taken on a bit too much. Like she's not maybe always getting all the support that she needs. But when you think about the amount that she takes on, it's kind of incredible. So yeah, but I mean, this character is strong. And it's so funny. I just kept pulling her outcome cards. The card of like victory, triumph, leadership, the card of contentment and happiness, the card of celebrating milestones. I mean, what else can you say? Like,
yep,
she's in a good space.
Yep. Fantastic.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us on a Saturday, and I'll let you get back to your life.
All right.
And thank all of you for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
I know I'm always impressed when people come out and, you know, especially like on a Saturday night. I know there's like so many things to do. But thank you. And this will be uploaded for later. And so, all right, everybody, have a fantastic weekend.
Thanks, everyone. And don't forget to check out my page. And again, if you're looking for discounted astrological services of any type, please send me an email. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.
Bye.